Welcome to Stay Paid. Today we are answering your burning questions in real estate, business, marketing, and more. On these episodes of Stay Paid, we take live calls from listeners. If you want to have your question answered here live on the show, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Stay Paid Podcast, or you can go to remindermedia.com/ask and submit your questions there. My name is Josh Dyke, Chief Marketing Officer here at Reminder Media, joined as always by Luke Acree, President
You've
of
only
Reminder
known
Media.
me for 15 years, man. Can't even get my name right. No.
We do have an Instagram account called Lou Cakery, though,
Okay.
because transcripts would always change your name to Lou Cakery.
Yeah.
And then joined also by Stephen Acree, team lead, founder of the Acree Brothers Realty Team, the number one team in Lynchburg, Virginia. Joining us first here on the episode, Alvin out of New York in apparel fashion business. Alvin,
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes,
Sick.
yeah.
Dude, awesome. Welcome to Stay Paid. How can we help you?
Well, originally my question was about how much I've spent and when is it that I realize that the return that I'm not getting is when do I quit?
Yes.
Because I've spent so much and I haven't seen much return back on my investment. And I guess these ads aren't really hitting the people that I want them to hit.
Okay, so can you break down for me? So you're in fashion apparel. Can you give me kind of a 30 seconds of the business? Like, what are you trying to sell? Who are you trying to sell to? What's the offering?
Okay, definitely. So it is a graffiti, hip hop, anime based artwork.
Okay.
So it's all online, no brick and mortar. And I am looking for the younger kids, from skateboarders to taggers, anyone in between, whether
Okay.
you're 18, 15, really, all the way up to 35, 40, because you remember those days.
Love it. And is it mostly on like t-shirts and jackets, hoodies, stuff like that, or is it purely just the
T-shirts,
art?
hoodies, jackets, yes. And I also have printed art. So
Okay. What is your average price point and what's your offer that you're running right now?
t-shirts, $30. I did have an offer where, well, t-shirts, $30 up to, I even have skirts for women. So those are like 45 bucks, I believe. I don't remember off the top of my head. But what was the question again?
I was just what was your offer, right? And so you're running ads, right? And you're doing, you're trying to get out there to this audience of 15 to 35-year-olds, right? That are hip into, the skateboarding type stuff. What is your offer to them that they're seeing on the ad? Is it just the t-shirt itself, like, design of the t-shirt and then click to buy? What is that offer?
So yes, it is a click to buy. Hopefully they go to the site. I've also ran I think it was 20% off offer of
Yeah.
150 bucks, I believe it was.
Okay.
So I was putting out so much incentives.
Yep.
Yeah. How long have you been running it as well, Alvin? How long have you been in the business?
In the business, this is my second year.
Second year? Okay.
Yes.
Yep. And then how much do you got into each like your $30 t-shirt, how much is into making that t-shirt?
So everything is done with drop shipping. So using Shopify, Printify, all of these companies that would help. So I don't want to have my own store within my house
Sure.
because of all the
But it costs you on the $30 t-shirt, it costs you
free.
$5, $10 to make.
I wish. Oh man, I wish.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
it's
is it?
What's
about
the margin?
15,
15?
15, I believe.
Okay.
And then how many sales have you done? Like what's your gross revenue?
That's the thing. I'm not getting any buyers.
Okay, no buyers.
Do you do anything else besides online advertising to sell? Have you ever done like boutiques, door-to-door trade shows, the festivals, selling your t-shirts at festivals, anything like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've friends, family, of course. Actually, there's a small business expo that's going on right now at the Jacob Javits that I'm gonna try to run to as soon as I get off with
Love
you
it.
guys.
Yeah, because
Um,
people always make the mistake. Mark Cuban talks about this, and same with like Luke and Steve, our founders of Reminder Media, where it's like you actually want to you want to give proof to the concept first before you start spending on the ads. So it means like, can you sell the t-shirt? How easy is it to sell? What's the audience that's out there, audience size for the t-shirts? So I don't know if you'd agree with this, Luke, but my opinion on it is like, you should always go into the phone call sales, what you mentioned, setting up shop and going and selling yourself to these people to see how easy the sell is. Because if you don't know the feedback on that side of why they're buying your t-shirts, how can you create an ad centered around that? But how can you center an ad around that because you don't know their true motivation to buy your t-shirt? And so you're pitching something, I don't know what your Facebook ads look like, but you're pitching something out there that we don't know if there's going to be a response. Like we don't know what the MOFR is to get that response from your audience. It's like make an offer for immediate response is MOFR.
Yes.
And so you really need to identify that. But I would always identify that before spending money by going out and trying to sell it door to door, phone calls, setting up shop at these events, right? Setting up shop in a storefront where, you're putting your assets in there, your t-shirts in there for no cost, and then they get a percentage of the sales on your t-shirts just to see what the true response is from that audience. Like, what would you say to that, Luke?
no, I think you're spot on. I don't know, Josh, if you're able to pull up some of Alvin's ads so we can see what it is, so we
What
can
is your
immediately.
Facebook account,
Oh,
Alvin?
it's on Instagram. So Instagram, it would be st.art underscore NYC.
Okay. Do you have like things like a farmer's market, Alvin, in your community? These weekend type flea markets, stuff like that. Do you have any of those that you could set up at?
Definitely.
Yeah, because on along the vein that Steven's saying, that's where I would go first, is I would go there because something's off, probably in your ad, because you're not getting any conversion, you're saying. But to Steven's point, it's kind of a guessing game
Yeah.
because you have no data and no way to guide the ad because you're not doing any sales yet. So it's like you need to talk to the people on the street. Damon John, right, used to sell the stuff out of Fubu out of the trunk of the car. And it's like you're doing some of that already. You're selling to friends and family. You're running to this small business expo right after our call here. So kudos to you there. But what you need is you need to tell us, what are the people saying to you about the t-shirts? What are they? Is it the price that's too much? Are you getting resistance there? Do they like the designs?
Are you
Right. And
selling to the wrong audience? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
who's the audience that you're actually selling to? Like, I'm assuming you love the t-shirts and, that's why you created them and you're kind of somewhat maybe an ideal audience for it. And that's what you'd have to decide. But there's not enough data to identify like any of those things that Luke just, talked about. Right.
so
Yes.
really you're just looking to go sell so you can get rejected 100 times. So you can get the feedback loop. Did you find the ads, Josh?
I don't think you're running ads on. Are you running ads on Meta, Alvin?
On Instagram, yeah.
You are on Instagram, and it's under the same thing, st.art underscore NYC.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not able to find you in the ads library.
I'm going to see if I can find him on Instagram on my.
I have his Instagram pulled up. Yeah. Do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, share that. Yeah. That way we can see.
We can get some sales.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Is this your full-time gig, man, or you have something else you do?
No, man. I work with Amtrak. I'm a subcontractor for Amtrak, and
Okay.
that's what's helping me pay for everything here. So it's not a lot.
Okay. So all these are designs that I'm looking at here that people can purchase.
Yes.
Okay. And all right, let's see. So are these are generated by AI, I'm assuming? Or is
Yes.
this real models? Yeah, generated by AI. Yeah. Sweet. And then your ads, are you just running something like that image, that 25% off?
Actually, I did run a, I did run it a few times.
Yep, you ran that like
The
picture
first two,
essentially.
the first two thumbnails that were.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, well, one is like you look at your Instagram following and all that stuff. It's like it's very product heavy. People don't tend to follow product based Instagrams.
Yeah.
So you need a little bit more personality in here. Josh, can you click on his website and bring that up so we can see people
Yep,
going
here's
there?
the home
Okay.
page, and then I was in the catalog here, but yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then you hit there. Yeah, I mean, to me, if you're not getting any conversion, any people actually buying, you're either targeting the wrong audience or they don't, I mean this respectfully, they don't like the clothing, right? Because the market is speaking and it is what it is. Like, so it probably means you're not hitting the right audience, is
Yeah.
probably what it means. This is very hip in the sense of I feel like young people or this is what they're going to wear. Also, my fear with something like this is the people that are in this audience, they probably don't have a ton of disposable income, too. So you're also, have that uphill battle, right? That 16-year-old probably doesn't have a ton of money to spend on a t-shirt. So they got to convince their parent, to do that and go buy it for them in essence. So to me, I go, because we can't see the ads, I go, your best bet is to get to the flea markets, get to the business expos, sell to your friends, ask them honestly what they think of the designs. Would they buy it? If your friends aren't buying it, if your target audience isn't buying it, you got to find out why. And then on your ads, like I would do, like if you go back to his Instagram and you look at that like one image with the 25% off,
Yep.
if you're running that type of image, it's not clear enough. Like I would go straight like product picture on your ad, not just something like that, because I'm not making the connection that what I'm buying because there's three different people in the image. Am I buying
Okay.
this hoodie, this hoodie, this hoodie? All I see is 25% off, where I would rather see this actual hoodie or this actual t-shirt or whatever it is. And that's the ad.
Yeah.
And then there's this great thing called R&D, right? It's research and development, but it's really rip off and duplicate. So I would go to the brands that you love that are selling clothing. So like, what's a brand you love? And I would go to the Facebook ad library. So you can just go to Google, type in
Hmm.
Smith Meta's ad library, and you can find your competition's ads. And Google has the same thing. You can find the ads that they're running and you can see what they're running and you can do R&D. Where you can see, okay, what is my competitor running? So if you go to Google and type in Facebook ads library, you'll see a link there. You can search their Facebook pages. And if they're running ads on that Facebook page, you'll see their ads and be able to see what they're doing. So that's another tip I would give you. So a couple action items there. First major one is you got to sell face-to-face, door-to-door to get some feedback. Got to change your ad to be product centric. And then you got to go do R&D to see what your competitors are doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the designs look pretty cool. So I'm assuming you're just hitting the wrong audience is what I'm now. It's not necessarily my style. I'm sitting here in a polo, but I need a little bit more.
Yeah,
Eventually,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna get polos.
I'm looking at tpublic.com, so I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar with them, but all of their ads are just buy now. It's all product catalog listing, shop now, links right into the Facebook marketplace, like the shop process. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that yet, but less branding in these scenarios and more just literally like product.
Great product.
Yep, straight
But
product.
go out and get proof of concept, brother. Like go out and sell hardcore. And I'd give that, this is just my personal opinion, 3 to 6 months of that. And then if you're not getting great feedback on the product, right, we know what it is. So it's either make a shift on artwork and all that good stuff. If it's the wrong audience, we're making a shift towards the audience. If it's price point, you got to look at your margin and go, do I have a good enough margin? Luke, what would you say is a healthy margin for, I mean, I don't know, t-shirts and all that good stuff, but you have any good advice on that?
I mean, I would at least want to see a 50%, which it seems like you're at a gross after COGS at 50%. But ideally, right, if you could get it like 70%, that would be awesome. But 50%, you're there $15 and you're selling it for 30.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't have a ton to spend on marketing. So maybe you spend another 10%, 15% on marketing. Then you have your OpEx, which is your salary, right? It's another 10% there type idea. And then, that $15 you're spending on the t-shirt, does that cover all of your COGS for the Shopify store and everything like that as well?
Yeah, they'll send everything.
Yeah, it's all included. So, okay. So then, then you'll be able to net a 20%, 25% margin. It's not, I don't think the margins are necessarily the problem from what I'm seeing. You just don't have any sales. That's the problem.
Yeah.
There's no sales.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would, that's where I would focus first. Do you have a database of clients at all or friends and family?
I have a notebook, not much of a database.
Yeah. So when you're sending out postcards or sending out magazines, right? Sending out those things, who are you sending them to?
I actually have Reminder Media. I bought a list from them.
Yeah, but okay, so you got a list. Who did you target to that list? Do you remember?
Oh no, that was a while ago. So I remember I wanted people who liked art, liked rap,
Yeah,
or
got you. Okay, yep.
hip hop. So I try to kind of go general.
Yep.
So I was
Okay.
hoping if I just throw it at the wall, something will stick.
Yeah. I wish it worked that way. I mean, you do have to throw a lot at the wall, but ultimately, I think you've skipped the step, is what you've done. Is you've
Okay.
gone to the marketing before you've done the sale to see product market fit. You got to see product market fit before you spend on the marketing, is what's happened to you. And so you need to go to the flea markets, you need to go to the expos, you need to go to your friends and family and at least get 100 sales before you go start dumping money into marketing. That's what my encouragement would be to you. But dude, really appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully that was helpful to get you focused. Your takeaway should really be get to the flea markets, get to the expos. Because you have a good product, go sell it. Come back to us and say, Luke, I sold 100 of them. And here's what I learned. And then we come back together and go, okay, now that you've sold 100 of them, what sold? Let's take the picture of what sold and let's advertise that because there's traction there. Who did you sell it to? Oh, it was females that were all 30 years old or all that were in college. Okay, let's run the ad targeting females in college. You see, right, when you go get product market fit or start proving out that people buy it, it feeds what you do in marketing.
Okay.
Awesome. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks,
hey,
Alvin.
go run that expo. Go sell some.
Thank you.
Love it. Have a great one. Bye.
All right, there you go. Make sure to get your questions answered live here on Stay Paid. You can go to remindermedia.com/ask, and we will get you scheduled here for the show. Our next guest is Tanya. Tanya calling, I believe, from California. So, Tanya, it is early where you are. Tanya in real estate. Tanya, welcome to Stay Paid.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
How can we help you?
So, my question or comment or statement, whatever you want to call it, is regarding climate change. And it seems to be something that comes up pretty often in my real estate business with questions from buyers mainly and potentially sellers if they're planning a move about how it's going to affect the housing market in the areas where we're selling or moving. And I just kind of wanted your opinion on it because I just have this kind of myopic view of where I live, which is right in Topanga Canyon outside of the Palisades where we had the fires, where my office burned down, and Malibu, and everywhere else around here where I have to handle objections with buyers about fires and insurance. And of course, on the ocean, on the beach, how that's going to affect people. So just wondering what's happening across the country. I was just reading a New York Times article about it, which was really interesting too. And it's mainly focused on insurance, but there's other factors too. So would love your opinions and advice.
Yeah. Great question. And sorry about your office burning down. That was just terrible.
Yeah.
Everything that happened out there was just unbelievable.
I know.
Have you
Thank you.
where are you at in the recovery process of the office and everything out there? What's the market looking like?
Well, so right now I'm in an area that survived the fires because we have a huge defense system here. Basically, we do a lot of hardening of our homes, and I'm in Topanga, which is between Malibu and the Palisades. So our office opened up in Santa Monica. And I have to make a commute out, but there's construction because they're fixing the roads and burying the power lines. And we're getting to the point now where it's spring, and we've had 20 sales in the last, since January. There's 63 houses on the market. A lot of them are
You had
sitting.
20 sales in the whole
Yeah.
market?
Yeah.
Whole area.
In my area, my farm.
How
It's
many?
been really slow.
How big
Wow.
is your farm, though? How big is your farm?
Well, there's about 1,800 homes in
that's
this
not too
area.
bad. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's not a lot, but it's not like I was
Yeah.
thinking the whole
Yeah.
Topanga. I was like
Yeah.
20 sales in
About
the whole
1%.
Yeah.
That would be
Over
rough.
1%.
That would be rough.
Okay, so it's still low, but let me ask this because you're asking such a massive question that there really isn't a great answer to from my side of the equation. Like I'd be foolish to sit here and think I could educate you on like what the real solution is to like answering people's objection of climate change. So what I like to do is kind of answer questions based upon like if this was facing me, what would I want to look at?
Yes.
And I want to step back there and go, okay, how many deals are you actually losing to that objection? Because you're hearing it a lot. So I'm curious, have you tracked, I've lost X amount of business from the climate change objection? Do you know those numbers?
That's a good question, and I would have to say 50%.
Okay.
50%.
So about half of your
Yeah.
business is being
Yep.
lost to that objection. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead. Keep going.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Because now knowing that, you go, okay, I really have to now dive in and become what I call is the SME, which is the subject matter expert of everything climate change in this area, fires, insurance, floods, the erosion at the beach. Like I have to do my due diligence now to become an expert because you can't control the market. You can't control the climate, right? But what you can do is you can be the expert from a guidance advisory standpoint. And you show that through your ability to display your knowledge. And so if I'm you, what I would move to is creating a knowledge base that you can give to people that educates them on these issues. Because if you lost 50% of the business, well, the next agent's going to lose it too if the reason why they're moving on is that they just don't want to buy. That is what it is. And your role is not to force people to buy that don't want to buy. Your role is to advise them and help them make wise decisions. And so what you don't want to have happen is you lose 50% of the deals and they went and bought with somebody else.
That's right.
That's what you want to make sure is not happening to you. So it's like the next thing you would want to track is these 50% that I lost. Did they end up buying? Check the MLS. Like, did they end up like actually doing something? And so what I would do is put together for me, I would put together, and I would use AI to help me put this together, basically my one pager for each situation, my one pager for fire and fire insurance, my one pager for the erosion at the beach. And I would sit down with my clients and walk them through history, trends, what the experts are saying moving forward, and then help them make the best decision for their family based upon what? Their motivation. So people might have to live there because of a job. They might have to downsize or upsize, I should say, because of a kid. Like life events are forcing them to make a decision, and your job is just to educate them in that process. So that's how I would approach it. I would step back, track. I would make sure I'm actually have a problem here and I'm not just overreacting. Once I realize I have a problem, I would go very deep on going, well, what is this? What is the answer for insurance? And what are the 3 top opinions? What is the answer for fires? 3 top opinions. And that's what I would present to my clients. Stephen, up there to you, whatever you would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in complete agreement with what you just said, because the hard answer is that you can't, you don't decide people's motivation, they do, right? So if that is a true objection, what you're saying, the fires and climate change, then all it means is you need a bigger database, right? Because your percentage of fallout rate you said is 50%. So that's the hard, answer to that question. But what Luke just said there, is there a solution, to that side by becoming the subject matter expert?
Expert.
Right. And there's a lot of truth to that. And so, but that is just, that's kind of a fight on beliefs too, right? So Luke might hold a different belief than you hold on climate change, right? Or on the fires and how to do that, right? So you do need to become the subject matter expert in that. But I would dig down deep and go, is that a true objection for this person? And that was his point to going out and finding out whether or not they actually bought with someone else. Because most of the time you've been in sales, right? You understand that people's objections, a lot of times, most of the time, aren't true objections. And so then it's digging down into, well, what is your motivation for coming here in the first place? And then you get to sell where you're located, right? And all the good things about where you're located. I mean, they're moving here for a reason in the first place. And so that's the exciting thing. So like generally speaking, like they actually have a motivation that's very strong, that's apart from the climate change and the fires and all that good stuff. And so you want to focus on that motivation.
And my point was saying the life events was that they might hate the climate change thing, the fires, like everybody does, but they don't have a choice because they have a new job and they have to live in that area. They have to take care of a parent. They have to move there. Like a lot of times it's like the life events forcing the move. So if you can get to whatever that life event is, you'll understand, oh, they have to move, like they have to buy a house here. So now it's just educating them on their best options based upon where they're at. But if 50% don't have to buy a house, that's why they're dropping off, because they don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that like not just with my personal business, but 50% less sales in our area. And I think Malibu's been affected really hard with this.
Your area has been hit tremendously hard.
Palisades. But what's amazing is I met with one of my clients yesterday, and she's rebuilding her house in the Palisades. And, we have this thing, this motto, Palisades strong, Malibu strong, Topanga strong. And the diehards are here and they're rebuilding, and what they're doing is they're building their homes and they're making them fireproof as much as possible. They're putting in materials that are non-flammable. They're hardening their homes. They're protecting their homes environments. And I think by the time they're done, they're going to be one of the safest areas. And so this is the positive that's come out of this, because we live in the mountains. We're in the mountains here by the sea.
What's your average price point as well, Tanya?
Yeah.
What's your average price point?
I would say around 2
million.
Yeah.
And so like these people obviously have money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like you just even pitching, the Palisades strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're building up a community of, fireproof houses and all of this good stuff. That's the subject matter expert that Luke's talking about, where you're selling a solution to the problem at hand, because the objection that they're bringing up is something they don't understand.
Right.
So they're bringing up an objection that they made this big thing, and it's not my job to say it's not a big thing or it is a big thing.
No.
It's my job to get the facts and become the subject matter expert. And then don't just sell on that. You're handling their objection and selling on Palisades and Topanga being the best place to live for all of the other reasons. What I'm saying is like their motivation to live there is already strong. And so you've got to get that out of them for why they're coming in the first place. Because when you sell on that, if that motivation is stronger than the objection on that side, and you are the subject matter expert to say solutions to this, right, for insurance, for fireproofing the houses and stuff like that, you handled the objection, but you went right back to why they wanted to make the move in the first place.
Right.
And you get that, and I bet you anything you'll have a better fallout rate. But still, the hard thing is, look, it's 50%, you know what I mean? So I don't want to sugarcoat it like, I have this solution, I'm going to sell so many people because I'm a good salesperson. You're still going to have a fallout rate, but maybe you can get that down on your side of the house to 25%. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Instead of the
that'd be great.
50% fallout rate. But I think you need to focus on the motivation and stick to that and be the subject matter expert to come up with solutions like you already pitched a little bit, some
Mhm.
solutions to those problems. And you'll never solve someone's motivation. That's their job, right? You just bring it out of them by consulting with them. And so if their
Mhm.
motivation is not to, that is a strong objection to them, look, you're just not going to get those people. That's totally
Right.
fine. But
Here's
you
a
can
great
impact it. Go ahead.
Here's a great action item for you and everybody listening is go to your AI of choice, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, go into voice mode and say, take on the role of a buyer shopping in Topanga that has concerns with climate change, specifically fires or whatever the situation is. I need you to role play with me the objections that this buyer would have, and
Yes.
it will role play with you and you give the answer. And then
Yeah.
after you do that role play, then go, please take on the role of a sales coach and real estate coach and assess and critique my answers
Yeah.
and show me where I can improve in delivering better answers to this buyer. It will then help critique it. Then go, please create me a one pager that I can give to a buyer. And it will basically, you can walk through this whole process of testing whether, Tanya, you are the subject matter expert or not.
Okay.
It's great
Yeah.
for Stephen
Love
and I
that.
to say it, but you've got to test yourself on it.
Yeah. I
And
have all the
AI is
knowledge.
amazing for
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, I
And
have
so
all the knowledge.
Yeah.
beautiful.
I'm
So once you
yeah.
feed that to your AI
Yeah.
can then craft that into a document for you, and then you can get it designed up. I mean, technically, you could use AI to help you design it up too.
Yeah.
You can get it designed up, and now you have something presentable to the client that you can start using. So that's
And
what I
not to
would
get us
ask.
off track at all, Luke, but Tanya, we didn't even ask the question like, what are your sales right now?
My sales,
Yeah, like
like,
what have you done so far this year, and then historically, what have you done before
well,
the
I
fires and
think I've
stuff?
averaged around 20 to 25.
Okay.
And the last
Wow.
12 months, it was
Yeah.
about 12.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So big
So,
drop off.
yeah, I'm doing a lot more
Okay.
leases. Leases are happening more because people can't sell because the prices have dropped and the sellers aren't catching up with the lower prices. The
Yeah.
buyers are coming in low with offers if they're coming in at all.
Yeah.
And people are watching and waiting and they're saying, oh, the market's going to drop more. Well, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
have a crystal ball. Maybe they're
Now,
wrong. But,
now
there is
20,
this
did you say
thing.
12 million, 25 million? Or are you saying 25, 12
No,
sales?
not units. I'm talking
Units.
about
Okay.
units.
At an average
Yeah.
of 2 million. So you're crushing it. You're obviously a
Yeah.
rock star.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, my thing, I think, Luke, I don't know if you'd say the same thing, but there is a certain point in which that fallout rate is going to be there. It's just going to be there. So then she's going to have to widen her marketing, maybe go out of the area a little bit
That's what I'm
further.
doing.
And that would be my real advice. If you have a goal of a certain number, I'm going to hit this number.
Yeah.
I think you need to broaden your database
Yeah.
because you're still going to have that fallout rate.
Yeah.
Because that's a true, I think it's a true objection for a lot of people. So it's
Yeah.
like there's some things you can't solve, but I do think that can go down with people's motivation if you solve that.
To that point is that will relieve you the stress of, am I doing a bad job or not? It's like, do as best you can to be the subject matter expert. And if people fall off because of that objection, they fall off. And your job is not to force people to buy something they don't want to buy. That's
No.
the last thing you want to do. And so you just widen your net then at that point. But now you're doing what you should do as a professional to address that problem. But
Right.
Tanya, super appreciative of you coming on. Great question.
Thank you.
And, stay strong, Palisade strong, Malibu strong.
Thank you.
So I know you guys have been through a ton. So appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Tanya.
Yep.
Good luck.
Nice to meet you all.
You
Nice
too.
to meet you.
Bye.
All right, there you go. Make sure to get your questions answered here live on Stay Paid. You can go to remindermedia.com/ask, and we will get you scheduled here on the show. Were you about to jump in there, Stephen, or something?
Yeah, she's a rock star. That's crazy. 25 units, previously at 2 million apiece. So she's doing 50 million.
That is a nice GCI. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we could have dug in a little bit to what she's doing to be successful, because I think honestly it is just broadening location, probably a little bit in it, and then who she's targeting as well, because you guys could have come in with Facebook ad, Google ads that you're running, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
real estate is
absolutely.
seasonal. I mean, they've obviously been hit by
That's tough.
something that's outside of anybody's control. But they're in a down season for sure. Right
Yeah,
now.
but good advice. Control what you can control. We have a right in here question from Cassie. Cassie's in the insurance business
Okay.
in Jupiter, Florida, and Cassie wants to know, when do you know, at what point or time length do you know when to switch up the method of mailers? So sending mail to your prospect list, I'm assuming, trying to generate leads for her insurance business. How long do you let something run before switching up the method? So method I would consider like the format of it, not necessarily the design, but the format of it, the cadence of it, the frequency
Yeah.
of it, like
Well,
almost like
the
a
problem
strategy.
is it's on profit, Luke, as you would answer the question, right? It's like on, okay, I sent out this many, it cost me this many, I got this many deals, and therefore I received this profit. And then you
Yeah,
always
but
talk
she's
about
saying she's not getting any return, so she can't.
that.
So basically, if you went off of that methodology,
That's
then
what I'm saying. So I was going to get like the next. Go
like
ahead. Yep.
like my rule of thumb, there's no magic formula here, but my rule of thumb is you should a minimum test something for 90 days, bare minimum. When it comes to mailers, it all comes down to your audience, right? So if you are doing farming, which is a random group of people you've picked based upon demographic and geographic information. So you're trying to hit your target audience, but you don't know these people and they don't know, like, and trust you yet. Everybody would tell you you have to farm for at least 12 months without any expectation of return just to start building the brand. You can get return faster if you hit them more times.
Yeah.
So that gets into your point, Josh, of frequency. So if you are able to hit them 8 times within 8 weeks, you have a lot better chance of getting return faster, right? Within just a couple months. But that's 8 different mailings, so that's 8 different spends. Then can your budget afford that? So rule of thumb is at least 90 days before you switch. 12 months if you're doing farming is what we always recommend. You should at least go without any expectation because you're building that brand. And then the one thing I would say is that just because your medium doesn't change, right? You stay mailing, your copy and your creative can definitely change and be tweaked based upon what you're seeing. So like with Reminder Media, if we send out a mailer on a postcard, and we get no scans, let's say we have a QR code right there on that call to action and there's no scans, well, we're going to change the copy for the next mailer because we didn't get a single scan, let alone
Change the copy, change the design, change the call to action. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know where she's at. Did she say? Sorry, I might have missed the Josh.
It's in Florida, Jupiter, Florida.
But how long she's been doing the mailing, the medium?
She tried, it looks like, for 2 years based off of what I'm seeing in her history. So
yeah, if you
maybe 18 months, maybe 18 months.
Yep. If you've tried for 18 months and gotten no return, then I would look at your collateral that you're sending is what I would look at. I would also, she's in real estate or insurance. You said insurance?
Insurance.
Yep. I would also look at like, what is the conversion? Like, what are you tracking as conversion? So what are you driving them to? Because are you talking that you didn't convert into a policy, but did you convert into a funnel form, or like a lead form, like a funnel page that you drove them to and they actually filled out and downloaded whatever you were offering? Like that's what I would look at. But the chance of someone picking up the phone and calling you just because you're doing branding on insurance, it's really low. So you've got to hit people with an offer.
I did my math backwards. 8 months. 8 months. Not 18. 8 months.
She's been doing it 8 months. So I would keep going and I would look at your offer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it's like what we found out, Luke, is all about the call to action, right? Because obviously we're calling for real estate and sending out postcards for real estate. But we learned that the assessment, people getting an assessment value of their home is a lot less strong than the cash offer. And so obviously the cash offer is a better response rate. So it's like I would look at your call to action and see. But if you have no leads from that 8 months, or like you said, Luke, no one going to your landing page and you see no impressions or anything like that, you've got to figure that out. And the other thing I would say, what do you think about this, Luke? Because like my view on it is if you're not a big brand and you're sending out this marketing, it has to be coupled with something else, some other action. So I'm like, if you send out the postcards, you've got to call around that neighborhood, right? You got to call that list that you're sending it to. Or else it's like the results of that are just not going to be that strong unless you hold it for 2, 3 years for branding purposes. And then because your brand's so strong, you might get a little bit more, response rate on that because you're a trusted brand. But I just watch all of these independents go and do it without any other activity behind it, newsletter, emails, right, going out, and postcards going out, magazine going out, and then phone calls centered around it. And I don't know how they're getting a good enough response from that without being a big brand. What's
Well,
your
I
view on
mean,
that?
my thought process is like, let's say you're not doing the calls. Well, the point is you are trying to build a big brand.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it. It's like it's just you're not going to get leads. Like you're not going to get direct response if you don't have great call to actions or you don't have a trigger happening. It's kind of like the billboard. If you're a new agent, insurance, real estate, doesn't matter, and you take out a billboard,
Yeah,
1 month of being on the billboard is not going to help you a ton. But if every month for years and years you're on the billboard, it's like
yeah,
Nadine Blakely has such a
yeah,
huge brand in Lynchburg, and she's on, the sponsors, the little league teams, and all that stuff. And
yep.
you just go, that one little league sponsorship does nothing for her. But year after year, little league team after little league team, or whatever it
And
is,
then
right?
billboard.
Does a
But that's my
massive
point
for
because
her.
she's doing that, the Little League, and she's doing the billboard, and she's making calls to her database.
The problem that you're getting at, or at least this is the way I view it,
Yeah,
is that because real estate agents, insurance agents have very little money to spend on marketing, they need all of their marketing to return
you're right.
right away. And that's the trap.
Yeah.
Is like
But I'd say like you should be doing those things, right? You should be building the brand with the postcards. And so to get the immediate response, you have to couple that with another action. I think you have to
otherwise you'll quit the postcards.
or
Otherwise
you're quitted and
you
then it
can't
was
afford
nothing
it.
in the first place. Yeah.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's like what you're saying is go do conversion activities, because if not, you're going to cancel the postcards, the billboard, the ad, because you're not making any money from it. But that's not because the billboard, ad, postcard is not working.
Right.
It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's spreading
Yeah.
your brand out to people.
Right.
It's just you're expecting something it's not going to do.
Yeah.
And it's not going to generate you tons of leads in
Or it'll
conversion.
eventually do. Like, I mean, look at our, Google results now, versus years ago, but we
Right.
just did it year after year after year. But even our postcards now, it's like, we just got one the other day where, it was coupled with multiple things. Like Zach actually knew the person. He received the postcard. My ISA called that person. Zach hadn't been in touch with them.
Zachary.
But ISA calls and the guy mentions the postcard, that he received it. So it's like we're
Well,
getting
I'm taking credit
installed.
for that deal, Stephen, for
Yeah.
reminding me, FYI. That
But it
goes
is,
to
but it's just a
that.
compounding, it's a compounding effect. Yeah. So I'd say, yeah, don't quit, but I would 100% couple that with activity around the people receiving the postcards. Not just making
You
cold
see,
calls.
Josh, if they're using our mailers, or are they doing any scans or anything like that, or
No.
I didn't
From
know
what
if
I
they
can tell, the call to action was leading to a referral page.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So I think that's ultimately what you guys are both hitting on, which is what are the goals of the campaign, and if that goal is top of mind, staying in touch with your past database so that they use you again, they refer you out. That obviously is a much longer. That's your billboard play.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you're
we
looking
are
for
gonna
direct
call
response,
you-
you've got to. If you believe in the list, like if you believe that you have a good list and these people need your services, then at that point, it's if the postcards aren't hitting, send them a handwritten note. If the handwritten note's not sending, send them a letter. If the letter's not hitting, changing these offers, these call to actions, whether it's, if you're trying to get someone to raise their hand and say, yeah, I want to buy insurance from you, that's different than I would love to get educated on what type of insurance options there are. And that leads to a seminar. That leads to a different type of conversation. So
Mark that
test,
person. Let's have
test.
a,
We've tested.
mark-
I mean, we have literally tested thousands of calls to action, and we have multiple products now. But when we were only promoting the magazine, we were still testing hundreds and hundreds of calls to action to see, what does this person need that I'm trying to reach and offer this solution to. Sometimes it's literally, yeah, I want to see a PDF sample. Other times it's, I want to get an open house kit that I can put in my open house, which then leads to, well, hey, we have the best impression piece that you can take to your open house where you will be the one agent that that couple remembers when they get home. So it's all of those different ideas of how do you get people to have a conversation with you.
I saw your new one the other day, the quiz. I thought that was pretty good.
Was it good?
Running the quiz, I ran through it.
Joseph's proud of that one.
Yeah, all right. We'll see the results. I got some feedback on it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, good. Okay. That's what we should do one day. We should pull up our marketing. That should be an episode. We pull up our marketing and you guys roast it
and trash it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reminder Media's marketing. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you all so much that submitted your questions. Thank you to Alvin and Tanya, obviously, for calling in and asking your question here live on the show. We would love to hear from you also. If you want to have your question answered live here on Stay Paid, go to remindermedia.com/ask and submit it there. And then make sure you're also following our YouTube channel. So youtube.com/remindermedia. Give this episode a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure you're subscribed and you have all of those notifications on so you never miss an episode of Stay Paid. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Josh Dyke.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.